Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Facebook itself was never the primary platform. He was a Twitter guy, and basically Facebook would be a feed to post his tweets. That said, given that Twitter is gone, and Twitter has made it clear that they are not going to be letting Trump back on ever, this would give him that key platform.
But Facebook said no. Facebook said, nah. Look, Trump not being on Facebook, and in particular Twitter, definitely brings the blood pressure down for a lot of people. And that's been shown. Even people that support Trump say over the last several months, since he's not been there, life's been a little bit easier. They don't feel like they have to defend him every, 24/7. And what did he do overnight that's going to cause a stink and a stir? Facebook was more about campaign than it was reaching the people. It was more about raising money, long form. Trump talked to the people through Twitter. Do I think he should be banned? Hell to the no. Do I think that Twitter, take away Trump, do I think Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all these social media platforms have a ton of power and are sitting there and essentially, I'm not even talking about politics, nanny stating everybody to the point where you can't even have a discussion about flat earth without somebody fact-checking somebody. I don't need you to fact-check something. That's what a human being should do. This is what makes people lazy. This is what makes people not actually do their own homework and just take whatever somebody says. By the way, fact-checkers get it wrong all the time. And if you ever seen some of the fact-checkers, right? If it's a Republican, it's all a lie. If it's a Democrat, it's, well, that's not true, but let me tell you something. How this could be portrayed. Who fact checks the fact checkers? That's it. I think a lot of people would like to see him just go away. He's got some sort of bloggy thing now. I don't know what that is. Quite frankly, I don't care. At this point, I don't care. Well, Chad, how can you not care? I care more about the free speech side of things. Across the board, not just Trump. We said it last year. We started talking about it. The fact that YouTube was banning flat earthers was essentially some sort of test. Let's just see what we can do. You don't need to protect people. The problem with our world today is we're protecting the stupid. They should be the people that aren't protected. Let them flap in the wind. Hey, if Bob wants to go outside, right, in the snow, naked, and sit there for 3 hours, let Bob do that. You don't need to fact check that. Bob's going to find out himself. If we had this kind of fact checking when we were crawling our way to civilization and humanity, if we had this kind of fact checking and this kind of, let's protect everybody from bad choices or bad situations or bad information or whatever, we'd have nothing. We wouldn't. We would. You got to find out for yourself. And by the way, if you believe something and you honestly believe it, people are looking for that what? Affirmation, not looking for information. If you're curious about something, if you have questions about something, you'll do your own homework. Fact-checking's not going to stop that. I get frustrated because, you know what? As much as Trump drove me crazy with the tweets nonstop and the fighting and the media overplaying it, and that's all they're talking. And by the way, I'm sure they're pissed about this because the reality is they got nothing. Take away coronavirus. Take away George Floyd. I talked to two of my friends yesterday who work in the media. They work for very large news operations. Both, it's funny. One is pretty liberal, works for, let's say, the other side of it. My other friend's somewhat conservative, works for the other side of that. Both of them were saying that they were almost disappointed yesterday that they didn't really get some kind of firm information about, are we going to throw this George Floyd conviction out? Because if we can get that, that could that ratchets things up, right? That takes things up to a 10. People are going to be pissed, and we're going to talk about that later. Like, that's what it is. It's a business. What do you need? You need conflict. You need chaos. You need blood. Fact-checking. Free speech. Why do I need to be protected? Tell me. Explain to me. Explain to me why I need to be protected. Well, you could get bad data. Well, that's not on me, by the way. Can I just say that? It's not on me. But I would like to have the opportunity to search out the things that I'm curious about and go from there. I don't need you protecting me. Trump said a bunch of stuff, tweeted a bunch of stuff. He trolled a lot of people. The media loved every second of it. At the end of the day, though, we have a bunch of tech gurus that are uber powerful, that do things quietly behind closed doors, that in many cases, when you challenge it, they either go, oh, yeah, sorry, wrong about that. Or when they say, well, you can go to our third party independent fact checker. And a lot of times, like, we never even, we had no idea. Because it's just a way for them to do what they do.
They would prefer that we don't know about that, because the existence of human mediated content moderation belies the idea that this can be done effectively at scale and without bias.
No, you're going to have bias. That's what you're going to have. You're going to have bias. And in reality, just let the free speech go. There's some stuff, obviously, right? If you're advocating for the murder of people, things of that nature. But at some point in time, the beauty of free speech is it's free. You're free to say things. You are. Well, what if you hate people? I don't care. You're free to say it. I'll protect your right to say it. Now, if you're advocating killing people, that's one thing. But if you just don't like somebody for their color of their skin, who they worship, who they love, that's the freedoms that we have. That's why I thought, Trump being taken off any of these social media platforms is a horrible precedent. Even Bernie Sanders came out a couple weeks ago and said, yeah, you know what? He shouldn't have been taken off. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't. Free speech should be free. I don't want to be offended. I'm going to go look at the Constitution again, but I don't think there's a place in there that says that your right is not to be offended. And most of the time, people who say they're offended, doesn't matter what you do, they're always going to be offended. They're going to find a way to be offended. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It's still out there. It's called the coronavirus. We're moving in a direction that, I saw, people talk about herd immunity. Here's the reality of this. We don't have herd immunity with the flu. The last time I checked, the flu shows up. People get the flu. Sometimes, large groups of people get the flu in schools. It happens. We don't have it. That's what this thing's endemic, right? So it's not going anywhere. The coronavirus is here. It's not going anywhere, at least anytime in the near future. Doesn't mean over the next several months and years that they don't come up with some sort of vaccine that will give you X amount of protection over years and decades or maybe forever. But it's not going anywhere. And this whole thought of herd immunity through vaccine only was never going to happen. We're going to get to a point where this is very, very, very minimal. And we will have breakouts in places. We'll have flare-ups. But, man, it's crazy. I was reading this article. People are like, oh, man. And now there's COVID anxiety. Have you guys seen COVID anxiety? Do you guys know what it is? It's a real thing. It's a real thing. People are terrified. There are people out there that are terrified to do things that they normally do. And we talked about this in our little dog and pony show, right? We talked about this. And what do we talk about? We talked about the fact that there is going to be a group of people that are going to so get inside their own head that they're no longer going to be able to function the way they used to. That they'll wear a mask everywhere they go, that they'll avoid large crowds. They may be used to like going to movies and concerts. They're going to stop doing that. Work is going to be something that they're going to pull back from. They're going to try to figure out ways to do it. And people are struggling with that. And this is going to happen far more than people think. And some people can't just get away from it. Great article in The Atlantic. By the way, if you guys know anything about The Atlantic, not a right-leaning publication. And the article, I love the top of it. The liberals who can't quit lockdown. Progressive communities have been home to some of the fiercest battles over COVID-19 policies, and some liberal policymakers have left scientific evidence behind. And it's an amazing article. We're going to touch on this throughout the show today. But it essentially says, right, like we're the right at times maybe didn't take it seriously enough as they should, and also tried to use some scientific stuff to benefit them, or ignored some of it. The left and the progressives can't seem to get it up, just give it up. And I'm talking about some people are just so, I mean, it doesn't matter. Every time you turn around, there's something new that causes them to stop. Schools and it's just insane. We can't open schools. Why can't you open schools? Because, well, according to a new study, 22% of the illnesses that are coming now are from kids. Yeah, because why? Because most of the adults have at least one, if not both vaccines. And a lot of people have already gotten it. So it's going to the places like a pinball where it's bouncing around trying to find a place that it can land. Kids seem to be it. Kids don't die from this. Does it happen? Of course. Very rarely. Very rarely. Kids die from the flu. We always have to remind everybody that. But the crazy thing is, when you talk about, oh, we got to get all these kids vaccinated, we got to do this, we got to do that. Israel just did the biggest study from kids 0 to 9, and then kids 10 to like 15. Kids 10 to 15 get spread it a little bit, but nothing like adults spread to each other. Kids 0 to 9, nothing. Virtually nothing. The show needs to end. We need to get back to the big show, which is our lives. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. You guys know about them. Awesome, super amazing slippers I talk about for my friends over at My Pillow. They're my slippers. Now, we got another deal for you. All right, so you can still get those. How about this? My Pillow's towels. Incredible. Towel set, 60-day money-back guarantee. Try them yourself. Return them if you don't like them. All right, so cotton grown in the USA and available in a variety of colors. Each towel set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, washcloth, 2-pack. For a limited time, you can get a 6-piece towel set, regularly $110, for $44.98. All you have to do is use promo code Benson. So what I want you to do, try it for yourself. No lotion-y feel, super absorbent, different colors. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, enter code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, enter code Benson, or call 800-983-4975. Use that code Benson. Check out all of the stuff, the Giza Dream Sheets, the My Slippers, the mattress topper. But grab this. It's less than $45. That's more than 50% off for the best towels around. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Get them now. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo is today, and it's funny because you talk to people, and they're like, oh, it's Mexican. It's not Mexican Independence Day. It's not. It's about a battle that took place between the French, okay, and Mexico in Puebla. Napoleon Bonaparte III, the nephew of that guy. And it took place because essentially France, was doing what France does. Just like a lot of those. They're colonizing. They're all trying to spread their wings. And that's what it's about. Mostly now it's just about people going out and getting margaritas. It's kind of what it's become. Right? So we talk about St. Patrick's Day. Oh, for St. Patrick's Day. Oh, you know it's St. Patrick's Day. And then you really find out. It's like, oh, that's not. Okay, what's this really about? Oh, you mean it's not about running around and drinking green beer? No. It's just a way to get drunk. Kind of that's what this has become. And people are like, oh, I had no idea. Yeah, the French envisioned essentially Latin America, as they would call it. There is Latin America, but they envisioned a kind of different kind of look. And the France wanted to expand, as did Britain, as did Spain. All of them wanted to do it. And then they battled. And the war came. If you want Mexican Independence Day, you'll have to wait till September. This is just a night of fun and frivolity. In the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862, when the smaller Mexican force thumped the larger, but as usual and even failing long before any time before this and after this, we failed the French. We surrender early, we surrender in the middle, and we surrender late. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you again. If you haven't heard, Facebook has told Donald Trump, that's a no. You're not going to be coming here. You're still banned. We're going to talk more about that. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this. Basecamp, software development company, they sent out a memo about a week ago, and it caused a big stir. And then people started resigning, and there was crying, because there's always crying now. And then they've kind of retracted that. But it goes back to this First Amendment thing, but it also goes back to the fact that we have a group of people who are just essentially absolute starfishes and snowflakes. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The idea here is, what is the measure that the company should take? Given that they made this decision, there needs to be a full understanding for both users as well as at the company, and well telegraphed within the next 6 months of what Facebook will do if they are faced with decisions like this in the future.
Yeah, Facebook said, nah, we're not going to allow you back on. Twitter has essentially permanently banned him. And we're at a position where I just find this to be completely stupid. I find all of I look at free speech, and it's very sacred. You should be able to have, because we have now taken free speech and conversation, and we've taken it away. We've put people in a position where they're afraid to have an honest thought about something for fear of ramifications and the potential to lose their job, the punishment culture that we live in. And, we should be able to have conversations. I'm not even just talking about people that are going to go out there and say just the most heinous things, which, by the way, if you have any kind of understanding of the interwebs, people get attacked every day. And horrible things are said to me on a daily basis. Does it hurt you? My son always asks me, doesn't it hurt your feelings? I'm like, nah. He said, why not? Because what do I care? He's like, well, don't you care? I said, no. I said, I care about what people who know me think, right? Not people on the interwebs. And I said, and most of these people are bitter and angry for whatever reason. And I said, then you've got the nanny people who are above it, and their whole thing is to try to monitor it, to make sure that people's feelings aren't hurt, and that something that may be somebody's thought, right? Like, to me, I look at something and say, you believe the earth is flat. I keep going back to that because of all of the things, right? I mean, of all of the things to ban on YouTube, they went with first was the earth is flat. And I'm thinking to myself, because it was the red herring, right? Let's just try it, see what happens. Let's throw it out there. See if anybody complains. Nobody cares about them. But we'll see how far. That's their opinion, the earth is flat. Well, that's fine. That's still their opinion. I don't believe it, but they got people on the other side, and they lay out a compelling case if you didn't think, oh, the earth is round. You can go, oh. But what does it matter? Like, oh, hey, don't let people know the earth is flat, right? Because they could walk off the end of it? Now, let's take that off, because it's not right. It's their opinion. Well, scientifically, it's not right. It's still their opinion. And again, they're going to come with scientists and say, well, there's things that it's their opinion. That's it. Okay? Nothing more. Why does it hurt somebody's feelings? Because we live in a world. Again, tell me on the doll where the tweet hurt you, where the YouTube post hurt you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Vaccines. He really wants to get everyone one.
So starting this week, we're also going to direct all federal pharmacy partners to begin to provide walk-in hours. You'll soon be able to get vaccinated without an appointment at the vast majority of our 40,000 pharmacy locations across the country. We're also encouraging our state and local partners to have a walk-in ability as well to the sites that they run. Now we're going to have to bring the vaccine to people who are less eager.
Okay, so you're bringing it to them that's less eager. Is that going to make them more eager? Hey, we know you had every opportunity to drive your car to a place and get this. You were in a store that had a plethora of this, and you still decided not to take it. So we're going to show up on your door and give you some. Some places and cities are desperate. They're giving away money. They're giving away drinks. They're giving away food. You know, it's insane. Like, to go, if you really believe, for whatever reason, you think you're super healthy and you're not worried about it. You think that you're going to be tracked every move you make, or that you're going to get autism. Like, nobody, you're not catching autism. Oh, man. Did you guys hear about Steve? No, what happened? He's got autism. He was fine 2 weeks ago. Got the vaccine. Yeah, it's weird. It's like Rain Man now. I mean, it's not happening. It's not. Now they're desperate. But if you believe in your heart of hearts, for whatever reason, religious purposes, political purposes, whatever reason, showing up at my door and trying to pay me $100 isn't going to work. It isn't. And if you're hesitant rather than an atheist, so you're a vaccine atheist, right? You're never getting it. You don't believe in it. You think it's a bunch of crap. Or you're agnostic. You know they're good, but you're not quite sure in particular about this particular one. Going to give it some time. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Give it some time. That's okay. But for the people that you're trying to reach, the hesitant, these aren't hesitant. The hesitant will make their decision on their own. It's the other ones that you're trying to crack, that extra 20%, and you're not going to do it. Outside of saying, hey, do you like baseball? I love baseball. Why? Because it's majority older white males. I love baseball. Outside of saying, who's your favorite team? Oh, the Yankees. All right, you get a vaccine and we'll let you pitch. We'll let you finish the fifth inning, which means you'll get a decision if all goes well. You could lose. You could win. Outside of something that insane, it's just not going to happen. It isn't.
How many of you would agree with that statement, that your fear of the vaccine is greater than your fear of getting the illness? Raise your hands. That is almost everybody.
There's just a huge cloud of question when it comes to that virus for me.
A very real illness is manipulated by the government.
A weapon used in many different ways.
Real virus, but it's been overplayed or used for political gain.
I would say a weaponized, engineered disease, which has been cynically and irresponsibly used for the politicization of medicine.
I can agree, not so much for medicine, but the politics absolutely was. Both sides ran with it. They did when they shouldn't have. We were talking earlier, like the Republicans and Trump at times. He got frustrated and flustered and kind of really pushed this thing aside. And you could tell over the last several weeks, he just didn't even talk about it anymore. And then on the left, we've talked about this great article in The Atlantic today, the liberals who can't quit lockdown. They talk about Democrats express more worry about the pandemic. Very liberal, are extremely anxious. A third of very liberal people were very concerned about becoming seriously ill, compared to a quarter of both liberals and moderates. And 43% of very liberal respondents believe that getting the coronavirus would have a very bad effect on their life, compared to a third of liberals and moderates. Because that side of the aisle essentially terrified people into thinking that if you get this, it's a matter of time, right? That's it. It's over. It's over. Can't stop it. You could try. It's just impossible. You could be smart, right? And sensible. And you'd be fine. But when you have stuff pushed out there and they use it for political gains, and people turn to politics now like people used to turn to God, and people used to turn to self-reliance, and instead of going with that, they're defaulting everything to politics and politicians, and then they eat up everything they say. And in doing so, they lose their identity and believe a lot of crap that they shouldn't. I'll say that about that little cut we played there. A lot of people were spot on. It was used for politics. It was manipulated. It was real, still is, but manipulated? Absolutely. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Did a juror lie about his understanding of the trial when he was going to be a juror? Did he lie and say that he was pretty much unbiased, knew some things about it, not really participating in any of the Black Lives Matter, so they get the Chauvin case and the George Floyd, but, did he lie? Is there a possibility that this thing could be overturned?
What we'd be thinking about here is, did the juror lie? Did he lie on his written questionnaire, or did he lie in conversations with the lawyers when he was questioned in court?
And that's going to be very big. So what they're going to do is they're going to bring him in, and it's going to be essentially in chambers. You're going to have prosecuting attorneys. You're going to have the defense attorney, because they've already petitioned for a new Chauvin trial, saying, look, this guy already had preconceived belief about the guilt of our client. There was no way for him to get a fair trial. And Brandon Mitchell, he's a basketball coach. He had gone to D.C. Martin Luther King Day, but he was wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt that, I guess, and it essentially said, get your knee off our neck. People look at that and say, how can he have a fair trial? And some other people have said, they were worried about what may happen if they, didn't find him guilty. Now, the judge will ask him a question. Essentially is, so, what's the truth?
When the defense asked him specifically about Black Lives Matter, his answer was that he had a very favorable impression of them. That's important, Because if he had said, no, I'm neutral or I have no position on it, and then this T-shirt had appeared, that could seem to show that he lied. But the fact that he said he had a very favorable impression supports his position that he was trying to tell the court the truth.
Yeah. So that'll help him. Now, as we all know in this day and age, usually it's never one. Are we going to find more? Is there going to be more issues? Is this enough to essentially throw the trial out and start all over again? Not quite yet. But in this day and age where everything's out there, in this day and age when it's tough to hide anything, even if it's as, it doesn't matter what it is. You took a picture a year and a half ago at a protest, and the next thing you know, boom, that's brought up. Didn't mean anything. You're not really in trouble for it, but could have changed some things. I don't think it's going to be thrown out, but we'll see, because you never know what's going to happen next. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Could you imagine if they decided, all right, we're going to have to throw this thing out? Oh, the media would be like, oh my God, quick, they're going to blow stuff up. And they would be frothing at the mouth for that. And they're hurting right now. CNN's viewership is Fox. Well, they're not in power, the Republicans, so their viewership will stay steady. MSNBC. So New York Times. I mean, they're all like, they need stuff, right? Because as much as it is about news, it's also about what kind of news you can shape and what kind of news will get your people paying attention. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's talk about home title lock. I think it's today or tomorrow. It's like National Password Day. And while you're out there protecting your password, thieves are doing something that is so, it is so, when you think about it, easy and brilliant. They're siphoning off the equity in your home, all by stealing the title. They quick claim it to themselves, forge a couple signatures because everything is public record. By the time you realize it, it's not like a lot of, other things that are out there where you can kind of, your bank says something suspicious to the static, because everybody's got protection in some way, shape, or form. What ends up happening is it's months down the road when you start realizing, I'm getting phone calls. What's happened? And you find out your home's essentially been stolen. They don't want your house. They want the equity in your house. Cyber criminals are smart, and they're ahead of the game. Home Title Lock's here to protect your home, protect your title, protect your future. Right now, go to HometitleLock.com. Use that code RADIO, right? So use code RADIO. Put your address in, find out if you're a victim, and get 30 days free protection. Try it. They'll alert you to anything that happens to your title, even if it's the title company itself changing something. HometitleLock.com. Use code RADIO. Get 30 days free protection. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
The CDC says about 3.6 million babies were born in the U.S. last year, which means the U.S. birth rate has now fallen to about 56 births per 1,000 women of childbearing age, the lowest rate on record and about half of what it was in the early 1960s. That means the current generation is getting further away from having enough children to replace itself. Experts say the pandemic likely played a role in the drop last year, but since many of the pregnancies began before the pandemic hit, researchers say they're working on a follow-up report.
Yeah. We're not having kids. It's one of the reasons that immigration is going to be a big part of what's going to happen in the future. We're not having children. We're not replacing. People are retiring. Some are not retiring the way that we used to, and that's what's keeping things going, is the fact that people are continually working, and it's not just because they have to. There's a lot of that. There's also a lot of people out there. It's like, I like working. I'm going to stop. Feel like I can contribute. Feel like I could still do things. So people aren't retiring. But if people were retiring like they did in decades and years gone by, it could get ugly. End up like Greece, where essentially it's a 1-for-1. For every person that's not working, there's somebody who is working when it comes to retirement. So we'll see what takes place, but we're not having kids. So my advice to you is, if you're like, I don't want to see all kinds of mass immigration, better start having kids. Because otherwise, look at Japan has a horrible situation. Nobody dates. Like, over the last, 20 plus years, the whole thought process is arranged marriages are gone. So they're not doing the arranged marriages anymore. There's not that introduced and that kind of, hey, this is, kind of where we're thinking you should go with this, right? So that stuff's gone. And they kind of left it to their own, powers. And younger kids were into the computer world. They've got no social skills. Essentially, Japan is a country right now with zero game. Zero game. The average. Now, if you're a K-pop, J-pop, Chad pop, you got game. But outside of that, you watch what's going on over there. Western Europe as well. Low birth rates. It's going to be an issue. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Oversight Board says former President Trump's suspension from Facebook and Instagram should stay in place, but it also says Facebook was wrong to impose an indefinite ban on the former president in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack. The board asked Facebook to review its decision and come to a final verdict within 6 months, essentially kicking back the question to the company. The Oversight Board's decision is likely to reignite the debate over whether big tech companies have too much control over free speech.
Yeah. And we should be having that conversation. Free speech is, I hear a lot of people out there in the media, colleagues of mine on both sides of the aisle who really, and I'll say this, my friends on the right, I don't have any of them that say, no, we should limit that. On the left, yeah. And it used to be the other way around, right? Like back in the day, the right was the ones who tended to be the moralistic ones, right? The Christian right in particular, and they would be going after, all kinds of rock and roll and all this stuff, and they wanted to limit things, and it's not that way anymore. Now it's like, hey, this is what it's about. It's the Constitution. It's free speech. Let's do it. Let's roll. I like it. And the left is like, no! Trump's being banned was stupid. But Chad, he didn't cause a riot. His words were inflammatory. Those people's actions were their own actions. That simple. The rhetoric, though, over all these years, was exhausting. I'm not going to lie to you. God, straight up, man, it was exhausting. I hated it. Breaking news, Trump tweeted something about, everything from covfefe. Do you guys remember that? To everything in between. And rarely was any of it spot on truthful. It was mostly, well, there was some truth in it, deciphering stuff. Well, I took it like this, so this makes it this way. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting. But I don't think he should have gone. Was he advocating for the death of people? No. Was he loud? Yeah. Did he say things that people didn't like? Yeah. But where in the Constitution does it guarantee that your feelings can't be hurt? And here's something else. It's so hilarious. If you don't like a guy or a girl on any of these dating apps, you could just swipe another direction. But if there's a tweet out there you don't like, it's impossible for you not to focus on that. And rarely do you see it, too, by the way. Other people bring it to your attention. The right gets upset because Fox or Newsmax or Breitbart or a few others find something and they bring it to everybody's attention. And everybody's like, rabble-rousel. And the left is the same thing. People just scouring, looking for something. Oh, my God, what's up? Free speech wasn't free, first of all, to let you guys know that. People through the centuries paid a huge price for that. And now we have a group of people that get to control and moderate when that was not supposed to be their thing. And we're not talking about advocating for the death of people or to start a riot. I'm just talking about, you know what? More often than not now, it's like there's a discussion about anything. And somebody finds something offensive. I take it. Well, that's you. Yeah, but I matter. No, really, you don't. You matter to you and other people, but to the overall scheme. Look, I'm under no illusion I matter to anybody outside of my family and friends. No illusion. Here today, gone tomorrow. If I was abducted last night by aliens, people go, that guy was okay. And you guys would move on. No illusion. So your feelings, I don't think anybody cares about. But we can't even have discussions now. We're being stopped and having discussions. Free speech is being limited by people now going, I don't know if I should say that because I'll get in trouble. Do you believe it? Yeah. Well, if you believe it in your whole heart, you should be able to have a conversation about it. Not anymore. Trump was exhausting. Doesn't mean he was wrong, but he was exhausting. Let's, for a second, even if you're a Trump supporter, it's been pretty nice, right? It's been pretty nice. There's a guy who's talking about the fact that he goes, my blood pressure's down. I don't have to wake up and fight a battle against other people who you'll never meet. Right? So you're never going to meet these people. And you're fighting a battle over bizarre stuff. It's just, but you should still have the right to hear it, see it. If you were the leader of the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan and you lead your clannies, which is like 8 of them that's left, right? Oh, Chad, they're on every corner. Okay, but back to reality. If you go out there and you want to scream at the top of your lungs and you got a permit to do it in a place, I will protect your right to do so every single day. And if you're over here and you believe in marriage equality and every woman should have not just access to every kind of health care and abortions, and that you hate God and white people, I will protect your right to say those things. So free speech is all about. Not anymore. Now it's feeling speech, which is not free. And a lot of people pay a price for that. And that's just insane. And I know I'm going to get people tweeting, I can't believe that you would say you would protect somebody's right that says they hate God or says that they hate, people of color. Yeah. Doesn't mean I have to agree with them, and I don't. But I wouldn't want them to have their speech taken away, because who's next? And I don't need some arbitrary group telling me, well, you can't hear that. We're going to make sure that you know everything about everything. No, you know what? Here's the deal. I will make up my own decisions and mind based on the data I find, and I'm willing to go an extra step and search something up rather than look at a meme and go, whoo. Just think about this for a second in the society we live in. Okay? I want everybody to think about this for a second. In the world that we live in today, there is a meme currency called Dogecoin that has a market cap base, and it was a satirical thing based on a meme that has a market cap right now of about $90 billion. So do people take things and run with it? Yeah. Good for them. I'll do my own research. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, Phil, it's up over 70 cents now. Did you see that?
I know.
70 cents. Like, that's one of those things where you throw like a grand or two at it, and you're just like, whatever.
I was just going to toss 20 at it.
Yeah, if it flops, it flops. But I got a bunch of it. And if it goes up to $30,000, then I'm sitting pretty. Right? I mean, that's kind of what you do. But it's based on a meme. Just remember that. It's based on a meme. We live in a world where reality doesn't even matter anymore. GameStop, their stock went up, it went down, it went up, went down. People can't sell the stock. It could sit up there for but the reality is I thought this business was about profit and loss. Yeah, it is. Well, you guys aren't making any profit, and your actual business model is years old and antiquated, and you don't seem to be doing anything special. Yeah, but people on Reddit think it's cool. Okay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Will you, won't you get your child the vaccine? Is it possible that some people aren't going to? I think it's a lot of people are not going to. I think a lot of people out there who have gotten the vaccine, who are pro-vaccine, when it comes to this vaccine for the coronavirus, they're going to take a step back.
High school kids in particular are known to be just about as susceptible and just about as good as passing along this virus as other young adults. It will be really great to be able then to get that immunization schedule going well in advance of September.
Yeah, 0 to 9 has very little transmissibility. Israel just did the biggest study. 10 to 15, not quite as easily transmissible from the younger generation to the older generation, but it can happen. So for me, people ask me, right now I don't have to worry about that. Jack's 10. He's going to be 11 next month. But there's no – I would say no. I would. To me, I would say no. I got zero problems right now with the way, because he had it and he wasn't really sick. He was sick for like an hour. He got sick in the morning. He's like, I don't feel good. And by the afternoon, he's like, I'm going to go on the bouncy. I'm like, all right. That's the way a lot of kids were. But I think I want to see what schools look like come August, September, when this thing is, and it should come down in the next, probably by this weekend. And what does it look like? Are people going to be rushing out? There's a lot of people out there, like I said, who have taken the vaccine but want to give it time. And I always go back to FinFin. If you guys don't remember FinFin, it was a weight loss thing. It was in the 90s. And it seemed great for a while, and then people started having kidney and liver problems, and they pulled it back really quick. Kids don't have that option, right? They don't have that kind of freedom. So what happens? For a lot of people, they want to sit and wait. 6 months into this thing, as an adult, you can say, you know what, I got no problem with it now. But just want to make sure, especially kids who are still developing. Right? We only give hormone blockers to those who are developing if, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Uh-oh, here comes some emails. Probably. See Bruce Jenner / Caitlyn Jenner. I know, so Bruce. Sorry, didn't mean to. Just, 60 years of that. They're running commercials already. We're going to talk about that. There's already a slick ad campaign out there. Because Caitlyn, who has some experience in athletics, not so much. Here's a question, though, for producer Phil. Does Caitlyn Jenner have experience in athletics?
No.
Okay. But if anybody would know about transgender and sports, it would be her. And they're already going up and getting her and attacking. And it's just, man, like that. People are on it. Own it. Omaha Steaks. I don't get one tonight. Had a burger the other night. Had a steak. last night. Tonight, I'm staying up here, so there will be no barbecuing. And it's about the grill. Like, it's just amazing. So if you said to yourself, summer is here. We got that nice grill. Maybe we should start thinking about what we can do. It's about Omaha Steaks. Why don't you go to omahasteaks.com. Keyword is Chad. Type it right in there. And get your Let's Go grill package. What do you get? 4 butcher cut fillets, mignon, 4 boneless pork chops, 1 pound of chicken breast, 4 kielbasa sausage, and so much more, including lots of burgers, caramel apple tartlets, individual scallop potatoes. It is incredible. And on top of that, they're going to throw 12 5-ounce Omaha steak burgers in. That's a $44 value, absolutely free. Plus, they're going to throw $20 off your first box. If you want mouth-watering, delicious tasting, incredible food, this is what it's about. Omaha Steaks. Let's Go grill package. omahasteaks.com. Use the keyword Chad. They're going to throw in 12 free Omaha steak burgers and $20 off your checkout at your first order. Get it now. omahasteaks.com. Keyword Chad. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man.
Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old intranet. What's trending? Let's take a peek and see what's been trending over the last 12 to 24 hours. Yesterday, biggest trending thing on Google here in the United States was Paris Saint-Germain, the football team who lost yesterday against Man City, will not be going to the Champions League final, and they're saying, hey, you referees, you were swearing at us. Get over yourself, for goodness gracious sake. Huh? Jimmy Carter, seen in a photo with Biden yesterday. People were looking at that and also wondering, why does that photo look weird? Apex Legends. There's server issues yesterday Legacy had. There was all kinds of bugs and bizarre plagues. People were upset about that. And lightsaber, if you've not seen it, Disney reveals its real lightsaber, and it looks extremely cool. Also, if you go online and type in real lightsaber, there is a couple guys who created a real lightsaber. And by the way, it is absolutely deadly. It's not even kind of deadly. It is super deadly. Super deadly. Head on over to the magical world of Twitter. Trump being banned from Facebook. It's all over the place. It is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you guys haven't heard, and we'll touch on a little bit, Trump is, once again, they've upheld the ban in their oversight committee. Uh-oh. What's that mean? I have no idea. Rudy Giuliani's allies want Trump to pay his legal bills. That's trending, according to the New York Times. Really? Yeah, they did. They want him to pay it. We'll see what happens. Here's my thing. You know he knows a lot of stuff. You know they're going to come for him. And you know that people have a tendency, when they feel the pressure, to flip or to say some things. Will that be one of those situations that they're trying to get out of Giuliani? I don't think anything's going to come of it. I don't. And Dogecoin, it's surging over 70 cents. Get it while you can. Just remember, Bitcoin was 70 cents once, too.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Immediately provide $10,000 in debt relief as stimulus right now.
Free education. President Biden likes that.
They're in real trouble. They're having to make choices between paying their student loan and paying their rent.
I have $50,000 of student debt.
$180,000 of student debt.
No more debt for you and me.
Today's abolish the debt push is mostly from people who don't think they should have to pay.
They can go to hell because I'm not going to pay it.
Are you going to hell and not going to pay it? You're going to hell. I mean, I knew what I was getting into, but I'm not paying it. Okay. It's going to work solid. It's very interesting, right? Like, and I love the Stoss report because you get Mike Rowe on and we'll talk about it. But just that whole entitlement. You go to hell because I'm not paying this thing. I'm not paying this. What? You're not going to pay it? Nope. Decide I don't want to do it. Why? Because no, tell us why. I mean, were you fooled? Were you fooled about, like, did they lie to you? Well, of course they lied to you. They told me I could go to college and I'd come out and everything would be hunky-dory. No. Did they lie to you? Was there some, like, did they, prick your finger and make you sign it in blood and there was a guy there who's, tell me. Curious.
Mike Rowe, host of Dirty Jobs, works with many people who do well without college degrees.
I know guys who worked hard to get a construction operation up and running. Some of those guys take out a loan on a big old diesel truck. Why would we forgive the cost of a degree and not the cost of a lease payment? For some reason, we think a tool that looks like a diploma is somehow more important than that big piece of metal out in the driveway that allows the guy to build the homes that you and I are sitting in right now.
Yeah. Well, they can depreciate it. Trust me, you can do a lot of things with your student loans and stuff. This is nuts. This is crazy. And the thing that's crazier about all of this, first of all, the expense of college is insane. Why is that? Because when you guarantee loans to people who have no right taking out $250,000 in loans, you wouldn't let them do anything else. We now let youngsters, whatever you want, right? You're 6, you want to make a life-altering decision? Go ahead. If it's woke enough, it's good. You're 18, you want to go $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 into student debt. Not everybody does. A lot of people get grants and things of that nature, but they still go into some form of debt. You wouldn't give them $20,000 just to hang out. Here's $20,000. Do what you want. But the thought process is the thing that scares me, which is I'm entitled and I don't want to pay it back. I'm entitled to this, and I'm at the point now where I just feel like, because politicians are telling me I'm being robbed. They're the ones who've guaranteed everything. Stop guaranteeing loans, watch prices come down. People start going, I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna piecemeal it together. I'm going to junior college for a couple of years, then I'll finish my degree somewhere else.
The push for college came at the expense of every other form of education. Shop class was taken out of high school.
I know lots of guys in the trade who are contractors, and they're looking for help.
Chloe Hudson, she considered college, but was shocked at the cost.
When I started and I looked at tuition numbers, I was like, I can't afford this. And I don't want to be saddled with student debt the rest of my life.
Instead, she got a micro work scholarship to a trade school.
Yeah. So a couple of the kids, so I got 2 senior high school guys who come by and they help with the lizards. So, because I'm not there as much as I should be. And some nights I stay here, they go feed, make sure the lizard's okay. They check on things, right? Because I've got the cameras and stuff to look, but they just make sure that and there's a lot of stuff that I need, because like my big lizard, Norman, he essentially has a pond in the garage. And so we drain it, make sure everything's cool. And I was talking to both of them the other day, and one of them's going to trade school, wants to be a mechanic. Kid is so mechanically inclined. Like, it is amazing the things he can do. Like, I have zero skills mechanically, none. Not a thing. Don't know. On the other side of things, the other kid that comes over, his school did something really cool. When he was in like 8th grade, they said to him, if you get A's and B's through 12th grade, we'll send you to junior college and we'll pay for the whole thing, and you can pick a trade and we'll pay for that as well. Now, I love the kid. He's a good kid. We call him Baby Huey. He's like 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide. He's the sweetest kid in the world. She's just huge, enormous. He has zero mechanical skills. But they're also going to pay for him to learn coding. But there's options there. We've got this weird world now where it's all about the college degree, and we've told these kids it's the best thing to do, going and finding other things. Yesterday, we had a discussion about this here, and people say, well, what are you going to do with Jack? And I said, I'm going to do with Jack what I told my sisters and brothers to do, which they've all done. And my brother had scholarship opportunities for college for hockey, D1. It's amazing when you're really good at sports, the things they will overlook, producer Phil.
Maybe.
Yeah. Hey, you can't spell your name. That's okay. Yeah, you got a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot. But he chose the try to go the professional route. But he had too many concussions. But I told him all the same thing. Take a few years. Live your life. Find out what you want to do. Find out the path you're thinking about going. Get out there, right? Find out what it's like to get kicked in the grundle a couple times and maybe kick back a little bit and essentially, get your hands dirty and go from there. Nothing wrong with that. There isn't. This rush to hand, I know for parents, I want the kid to go on. It's great. And if you've got a scholarship and you want to go, that's a huge, and it's an opportunity to take it, do it. I got zero problems with that because you're not paying for it at that point. For the majority of people, they're paying for some of it. And we have this bizarre look at everything now from the world of if you don't have a diploma, somehow you're less than. And I see it around here. We got a lot of young millennials and stuff, and they're all excited, and they've got their diplomas in hand, and they've got all these kind of things. And, they'll look at, a couple of us hosts who, we got here through, sheer grit, hard work, and this world called, this university called life. It's like, really? Yeah, you could do it other ways. There's lots of ways to get to some place.
But it was a lifesaver for me.
She learned how to weld and applied for all sorts of jobs.
I've been under nuclear plants. I've been in water systems. All those jobs make me appreciate what I have now so much more.
About, what are you making?
I would make about $3,000 a week.
That's $150,000 a year. Yet the media say everyone should go to college.
I think the degree is worth it.
A college degree is absolutely worth it.
Is it? How many of you out there have a college degree and you've done nothing with it? How many of you out there have a college degree and you're so far away from what you've majored in, you don't even remember what you've majored in? A buddy of mine went to school. He did, what did he study? He studied like just the weirdest stuff, like, art and interpretive dance and a couple other weird things. And he now manages a Walmart. Makes a gank of cash. He's like, there's a lot of places that you can get to. And it's just, for whatever reason, there's a certain sense, right? And then people say, well, if people who earn college degrees make X amount of dollars. We're averaging out, right? Because some of the people in the top spectrum make X, Y, and Z. And a lot of the other people, it's an average. There's ways of going about doing things. And we have told and sold these kids a bill of goods, which is ridiculous. And then we go and we're indoctrinating them on top of all of that stuff with some insanity. But to start your adult life out, $20, $30, $50, $100,000 in debt is mind-boggling. It is. Now, if you're going to be a doctor, right, or if you're going to Harvard, I'll tell you now, if you have a chance to go to Harvard or an Ivy League school, the connections alone are worth the money. Look, I don't want to go to your school. I just want to pay you $150,000 so I can hang out here and get some connections. That's kind of what it's all about. Any other education you can find on the internet. You can. It's the truth.
So more students go into debt, debts that ought to be repaid.
There is not a single loan I have ever taken out where I didn't have an expectation put on myself that I was going to repay it. So that's long hours. That's getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and making sure I'm at work on time. That's staying late. That's working weekends. It's working holidays.
And now she may have to help pay for all those people who won't pay their debts.
No more debt for you and me.
That really means workers must pay for students who don't.
Not a good feeling to know that, the government thinks that they can spend my dollars better than I can.
Yeah, well, that's what government thinks. There's a lot of people think they can do better than you can. Here's something else. Like my brother and I were talking the other day. Or my soon-to-be brother-in-law. We were just chatting. And he's like, he makes really good money. He didn't go to college, went straight out of high school, worked with his dad. And it's funny, he's like 23 years old. He makes about $90,000 a year. Or he's 25 now. Makes about $90,000 a year. And they just bought a house and they're moving to Kentucky. And he's like, he's got a couple things. And I said, dude, you should just go be a truck driver. Goods are everywhere. They're never going anywhere. You will have a job that pays you very well. And he's like, that's a great idea. But for a lot of people out there, there's just a certain sense. If you don't have a suit and tie on, they would rather have a kid, come out and be $100,000 in debt, wearing a suit and a tie, making $50,000 a year, and rather than coming out with no debt, having a trade that you can take everywhere for your life, and knowing that you're going to make 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 grand a month. But your hands are going to get dirty. It's mental, mate, as we would say in England. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. If you've not heard, Trump, still not on Facebook.
The Oversight Board says former President Trump's suspension from Facebook and Instagram should stay in place, but it also says Facebook was wrong to impose an indefinite ban on the former president in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack. The board asked Facebook to review its decision and come to a final verdict within 6 months, essentially kicking back the question to the company. The Oversight Board's decision is likely to reignite the debate over whether big tech companies have too much control over free speech.
Yeah. I mean, it is their platform. But they're also extremely protected. Section 230, we've talked about that. And the way that they go about doing things. And the transparency isn't there. And I don't think free speech, first of all, it's not free. People paid for that. And secondly, if you're hurt by speech, you really need to take a deep breath. Because there's nowhere that says your feelings can't get hurt and that you have no right. I have every right to go through life not having my feelings hurt or not being questioned or not being challenged or not being offended by something somebody says. There's nowhere in the Constitution. We've looked. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Got a poll up about that. We're going to talk about that. The Chili Peppers did something yesterday that a lot of bands are doing. We'll talk about that as well. Raycon, best earbuds around. 6 hours of talk time. Seamless Bluetooth pairing. Noise isolating fit that is incredible. New fit with the gel tips that go in your ear. You barely know they're there. There's no stems. There's no wires. It is otherworldly, and the price to boot. My goodness me. You guys ready for this? They start well under $100. Well under $100. Buddy the other day is going, oh, dude, I'm thinking about getting headphones. I'm like, they got headphones? He's like, yeah, but I'm looking at this. I'm like, dude, you're going to pay how much? Oh, it's $399. I'm like, don't do that, man. He's looking over here. He's like, these things are neat. They're $179, but they don't play music. And I'm like, oh, that's just, I'm like, get Raycons. He got Raycons. He's happy. Summer's here. Get the best earbuds around. Save yourself money, an extra 15%. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
Little Chili Peppers. Well, they're doing what a lot of bands are doing. They're selling their catalogs. They're selling all of their music, the rights to their music. Anthony Kiedis won't be able to sing Give It Away. Yeah. I can't tell if I'm a kingpin or a pauper anymore. And the reason's pretty simple. They netted $140 million. The Hypnosis Song Fund has purchased them. Now, they're the ones who have bought Tom DeLonge, Blink-182, Neil Young, Lindsey Buckingham, L.A. Reid, and many others. And it's simple. You're making some money off this in the long run for licensing, things of that nature. You know, we talk about Dogecoin, and my company, my other company, we do NFTs. But it's totally different because ours is all based on things. It's not based on a JPEG or something weird like that. It's all based on working with an artist or somebody, and you own that piece of art. You own a song. You own a part of an episode, kind of like investing in something like this. And that's kind of what they're doing here. You're buying a catalog of stuff, so you get the rights to it. So if you want to go out and say somebody calls you and says, hey, let's just say for the sake of argument, I owned a piece of modern English, I'll Melt With You, arguably one of the great one-hit wonders of all time. And then get a phone call one day. It says, hey, you're going to be getting X amount of dollars. Well, why is that? Well, Modern English is licensing the I'll Melt With You to Taco Bell for something. And they're going to pay him $250,000. And a little bit of that. It's great. In perpetuity. So over the last year, Bob Dylan sold his for $300 million. Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, she did a $100 million deal. Kiedis, Flea, Chad Smith, and Frusciante are the main writers. They generate between $5 to $6 million a year for publishing rights and whatnot, according to Billboard. So they got about 25 times the number. Normally, you look at something and you think, okay, so if it's about $6 million a year, $5 million a year, you guys got $140 million for it. It's not 10 to 1, which a lot of people look at when you're looking at valuations. It's a pretty smart thing, right? Plus, you get a little bit longer in the tooth. What are you going to do with it? Might as well take that money, use it now while you can. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Poll question, do you agree with the ban of Trump being upheld on Facebook? Let me know. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So Trump still not on Twitter, as we know. Still not on Facebook, because Facebook's oversight committee, they said, no.
The Oversight Board says former President Trump's suspension from Facebook and Instagram should stay in place. But it also says Facebook was wrong to impose an indefinite ban on the former president.
Yeah. Absolutely. Indefinite ban, not so much. Here's what Facebook and a lot of these companies need to do. Come up with transparent outline of stuff that's not open for interpretation. You do this, you get in trouble for it. Right? Stop moderating to protect the stupid. because that's the one thing we need to stop doing. Case in point, yesterday, here's the protecting of the stupid, which we will not do on our page because, quite frankly, if you're too stupid to get it, go somewhere else. We posted a picture of what looked like a chlorine container, or like a big milk jug kind of thing, but it's like a chlorine container, or if you had bleach or something. It was one of those clear ones, and it was on the ground, and it was dirt, and it was just like somebody took a picture of it at like a dump or a waste disposal place, and it's like red dirt, and there's like a rock over here, and it's just like, and if you look at it really quick, it looks like some sort of old Easter Island thing. And Anthony put up there something about, look what the Mars rover caught, essentially, and people on my page were just so stupid. First, some of them believed it, and others were like, they were telling us how stupid we were, as if we didn't know what the joke was all about. Stop protecting the stupid. Stop protecting the weak. Allow the information to get out there, even if it's false. Well, if it's false, let it be. So what? If you're too lazy to look something up, that's a you thing. Well, he was trying to incite riots. No, there was a lot of stuff that I look back and I said that was not the smartest thing to do. But a lot of people went and did stuff that's on them, right? They were loud, they were boisterous, they were ridiculous, but it's on them. At the end of the day, that's a you thing. It's a you thing. Your actions are your actions. Hey, I know. Let's get rid of flat Earth. If you believe flat Earth is real, we'll get rid of it because, it hurts who? You know what I found? If you're serious about something, right? So you're serious. Like, I am seriously interested in this. I'd like to know the truth about something. Politically, whatever it is. That you will do the research yourself. But what we have now is a country of people who are lazy. They choose to be ill-informed because they want to be affirmed. And now we've got all these companies that need to come up with we had to stop this because you made a joke and I don't understand nuance, and or you put something up here that I don't really agree with, but I'm not saying it's false, but I'm not saying it's not, but I am saying I'm going to have to suspend you for it. It's the dumbest thing in the world. And I'm sure Trump is bummed, kind of.
This stings Trump because however he'll spin it about his ability to reach his followers through other means, he needed this mechanism. And if he is not allowed back in, it is going to mean that he's going to have to resurrect his political career if he wants to, using other means.
At the end of the day, Twitter was his thing, right? This probably hurts Facebook as much as in some ways as it does Twitter. It's a headache that they can avoid for a little while. But he was a cash cow for him. Notice that none of those places got rid of him until after it was all said and done. Well, we don't need him now. The money's not there. That's the thing. But it is frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. And free speech should be protected. And the speech you should absolutely protect? The one you don't like. The one you don't like. That's the one. You want to stand out in the square. And you want to scream about how much you hate God. Right? And you want to scream about how much you hate Jews and blacks and Hispanics. And I will protect your right to do that. As long as you got a permit. Obviously, we got to do it right. And so should you. Because that's what we're about. But you're not affirming them. You're not saying I agree with them. You're just saying you have the right to do that. Somewhere along the line, we've said, hey, you know what? You no longer have a right to do that because feelings. Feelings? What? Yeah. And we got to look at Section 230, which is there to protect these companies that weren't going to be moderators and all of a sudden become moderators, and because of their power that they have, But I'll say this, for all of you out there who are on the right, say it's always about the right that seems to be getting banned or hurt. Yeah, you know what? In some cases, that's true. But here's the thing. You know who dominates on social media when it comes to politics and influence? The right does. Absolutely. Well, what if they're lying to us and disinformation? If you're being lied to, right, at some point, you kind of want to be lied to. Here's your choices. You're fine with them lying to you because it affirms your belief. You're lazy and you don't want to go do the research on something. Or the third, and maybe the scariest, you're stupid. Those are your choices.
Going forward, Facebook needs to have a policy. They cannot make decisions willy-nilly about indefinite bans or kicking people off their platform. They need to be more clear, and they have 6 months to make a decision and really put this together to be more clear so that users fully understand what would and would not keep them on their platform.
Yeah, that's it. And I think people just want, for me, like when I used to play sports, I just want it. I want to know what the rule is. If you're a referee, how are you calling the game? And you see it with like football or basketball. Okay, this is the ref we have. This is how they call the game. They let you get away with murder, and you just want consistency. And I think that's the problem with so many of these things, bans or suspensions or Facebook jail, is there's zero consistency. And when you call them out, they either back down and unlock you from Facebook jail, or they push harder and make up other rules. And that's the frustration I think so many people have with a lot of this social media. But that's a lot on us as well, because we live in a world now where it's all about your feelings. Talk about transgender issues, race issues, talk about issues with police, you talk about issues with poverty, wealth, climate change, doesn't matter. All it takes is one person whose feelings are hurt, and the next thing you know, you're in the principal's office. I was just talking numbers and data. It didn't matter. That person doesn't want to hear that. And you get flustered. And you're like, ugh. I was far more involved with social media a few months ago. About 3 months ago, I said, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy watching people yell at each other. People you've never met, just scream and yell at each other, all caps. People you never met, you would say something that you would never say in their face. After a while, you're like, what are we doing? Like, how do we get to this point? We can't have a conversation. We can't have a vigorous debate. We can't part as friends. We can't say, man, you know what? I may not agree with you, but you definitely gave me some food for thought. It's crazy. It is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. We're getting closer and closer to whatever that is. It's not herd immunity, but it's pretty much just life.
The bottom line is we won't get to herd immunity. We have too many people that aren't getting vaccinated. The vaccines are not 100% effective. The variants are now more infectious than the previous ones were. But we don't have to get to herd immunity to get to a new sense of a new normal. Yeah. Israel's what they're – you go and look at Israel. Israel's essentially at a place where the amount of infections they have, it's really – it's not a lot, and it doesn't – it's not affecting society, and people are getting out there doing things, and they're out living their lives pretty much as they were before. And I think a lot of states are doing that right now. I think we're going to see more and more of that. But we're not. This thing's endemic. It's not going anywhere. We're going to live with this thing, through this thing, and around this thing, but it's not going anywhere in the near future. So we're just going to have to learn to adapt, because that's what us as human beings have done. Long before vaccines, you know what human beings did? They adapted. And, strong survived, whatever you want to call it. Their bodies adapted to situations. They fought things off. They built antibodies. They passed it on. And that's what we're going to have to learn how to do. But we're fortunate enough because what do we have? We've got vaccines. We've got this amazing technology, and you combine that with science, and we'll move forward. It's good to get the hell out of where we've been, which is in the last year and a half for a lot of people. It's in a holding pattern. It's time to getting on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. We're going to talk about Liz Cheney. GOP's basically done with her. And I just shake my head and I think, man, talk about a party that's just going God knows where at this point in time. Both parties being hijacked. What are you thinking? Huh? What are you thinking? Car Shield, that's what you should be thinking. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And by the way, that shop, you choose it. They get them paid directly. Why does that matter? It's simple. Let's say you're with another company. It's like, oh, we'll cover you for cover repairs, right? And you go to them, right? Widget Incorporated. And they go, oh, yeah. We're gonna, it's $200 deductible or $500, whatever it is. But you got to take it to, ABC up the street from you because we work with them. And what are they going to do? They're going to get you in and out of there fast. You're just a few $100 and you're an annoyance. And all they do is, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, rubber band, stick of gum, boom, away you go. Not with Car Shield. Take it to the place that you want it. They get them paid directly. You pay a deductible. It's that simple. For 1 million customers have been helped, and they're ready to help you protect your car and protect your wallet. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use code Benson. See the different tiers. They got tiers start as low as $99 a month for cars that are more modern. GPS, they got protection for that and all the electronics. To a car that just basically you want to cover, the basics of the car. They got a plan that's right for you. Carshield.com, code Benson. Saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Wanna be, boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
I think she's got real problems. I've had it with her. It's, I've lost confidence.
Kevin McCarthy right there. The leader of the Republicans in the House. He's lost confidence in Liz Cheney. She was one of the Republicans that voted to impeach Donald Trump. She, in her part, well, she's like, screw you guys.
This looks like it's going to come to a vote, possibly as soon as next week. And all indications are Liz Cheney's likely to be removed from leadership in the House. What's interesting is that Liz Cheney is not backing down at all in face of this. It's almost as if she is welcoming this fight. I think that she sees that she may well lose in Wyoming. Trump is doing everything he can to get her beaten in her reelection campaign next year.
It's just amazing, isn't it? Just like fighting each other. The Democrats have the same thing. The AOCs of the world. Hey, by the way, speaking of that, you guys notice how quiet the four horsewomen of the apocalypse have been? You don't hear anything about them. Why? Because Trump gave them relevance. He did. The tweets, all that stuff. There's no tweets about Ilhan Omar or AOC outside of the usual suspects that are out there. They're fighting more with their party than with the other party. And same thing here. Liz Cheney thought what she did was right. So, we're going to remove her. Okay. Now we're going to replace her with somebody else who Trump likes. This is the stuff that drove me crazy about Trump. And I can compartmentalize. Oh, you did something good here, but over here, so you did something bad. You didn't support me on this, so that means you hate me. If you hate me, I want to destroy you. And I always remember, I think it was right before he took office. The thing we did a piece about him and Richard Branson. And Branson said that they had never met, and Branson was thinking about getting into, I think it was the airline industry or something like that. And, Trump had Trump Airways and whatever he had that didn't really fly so well, if you will. And he said, he invites me to lunch. And he goes, I'd never met him. And I thought we were going to talk about, airplanes and the risk and money and the business and the whole 9 yards. And he goes, I get there and the lunch is essentially him bitching and pissed off at the people didn't help him when he was going through financial troubles and how he is basically keeping score and he's going to destroy everybody he went to who didn't help him. And that's a lot of what I see still. Doug Ducey, Arizona governor. How dare you, right? Like anybody who certified the election that he thought was stolen from him, that they're coming for you and I'm going to do everything to destroy you. And I'm like, my goodness, that's the stuff that drove me crazy. And Liz Cheney, to her part, same thing with Mitt Romney. They just lean into it. All right, fine. Can't please everybody. We'll see where this goes. We'll see where the GOP goes. As the same thing with the Democrats. Are they going to become uber progressive? Are we going to have splintering of the party and have that exhausted majority in the middle? We just need to find out a better name. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
California was once the envy of the world. We had what everyone else wanted. The American dream grew up here. Yet career politicians and their policies have destroyed that dream. The government is now involved in every part of our lives. They've taken our money, our jobs, and our freedom. California needs a disruptor, a compassionate disruptor.
That right there is a person running for governor, potentially, if the recall goes through, of Gavin Newsom. Already in trouble, though, because Caitlyn Jenner came out and said, no, I don't think boys who transition to female should play sports with biologically assigned and continuing to live that way. That's the new way of saying woman or girl. Seems like a lot. I know, right? Coming out with the first ad there.
I came here with a dream 48 years ago to be the greatest athlete in the world. Now I enter a different kind of race, arguably my most important one yet, to save California. I want to carry the torch for the parents who had to balance work and their child's education. It's time to reopen our schools, reopen our businesses. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat. I'm running to be governor for all Californians.
We'll see. Can I go back if I lived there still and somebody said, would you vote for her? I go, what are my choices? Right? Because if the way that it works is there'll be a recall on the ballot. Do you wish to recall Gavin Newsom? Yes, no. If it's a yes, there's also who would you like to see replace Gavin Newsom? And then there'll be, I'm assuming, there's an adult film star. And I think that word gets thrown around a lot. Star. There is it Faulkner? The guy down in San Diego is pretty good. The former mayor. And Caitlyn. I'm sure there's some, I think John Cox might throw his hat back in there, and he ran against Gavin. At the end of the day, though, could I support? I don't know, what are your politics? Your politics seem to be pretty libertarian, kind of socially liberal to a certain extent, and fiscally conservative. Got zero problems with that. I know. I think a majority of Americans are that way. Majority of Americans kind of have a live and let live kind of attitude. Socially, they're, don't care if who you love, what you love and stuff. I think a lot of that crazy, crackdown Christian thing is kind of faded away for a lot. Oh, there's still some people out there, and I think on the other side, I think everybody over there on the left thinks that everybody's super progressive and wants socialism, and that and they don't, right? They want a secure border. They don't want ridiculously high taxes. Capitalism is a good thing. How do we reach that mass? Producer Phil said something. He says earlier, we live in times where smart people are silent, so stupid people won't be offended. And those words are so true. They are so true. And it's sad that we live in these kind of times. I don't want to offend you because I know you're going to be offended. Why? Because that's what you do. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you. What will happen in said economy? Right now, money's cheap. Very cheap. Houses, it's a seller's market. You put your house up for sale today. Don't be surprised by the weekend if not only have you gotten more for it, the majority of them are cash offers. That's what it's like at this moment in time. How long can the cheap money last? Because there's this thing called inflation.
It could cause some very modest increases in interest rates to get that reallocation. But these are investments our economy needs to be competitive and to be productive. And I think that our economy will grow faster because of them.
Of course, that's what Janet Yellen believes. But you got to watch out when you're doing stuff. And it matters because if you've seen lumber, the prices of lumber, it's through the roof. Why is that? Well, because people are building left, right, and center, and they're continuing to build. And when people are building, remember the bubble in 2008. The money was cheap, and essentially everybody was told they get a house. No matter what your income was, you get a house. And you can not only borrow money to buy the house, you can borrow the down payment to buy the house, and you could even borrow more on top of that because you're going to need to furnish it and all this kind of stuff. And we don't care that you make $12 an hour and you bought a $700,000 home. And eventually it blew up. Different here, but still there is a potential massive issue that could happen for a lot of people. And that money is cheap, but that money may go away. And what happens at that point? Well, there's going to be a lot of people out there looking around. Going, and inflation is real. I mean, the money we're borrowing, the money we're printing is just nuts. Do I think it's going to be big? No. The one thing that we do now better than we've ever had, and Republicans and Democrats, they put people in place that understand it. There's an art form to it. If all we did was print. Yeah. You could see it. But there is an art form to what they're doing now. The way that they manipulate for lack of a better term, the interest rates, which will have an effect on the market. A bigger thing would be if you go and raise taxes on capital gains, the crapper that thing would go into, where you'd see a much bigger falling out. But I still think there's going to be, I don't want to say it's a bubble like it was. I don't think we're headed back to 2008. But we could have some issues.
My expectation that next year we'll be back full employment. There will certainly be some adjustments along the way. I expect as things open up, we'll see a shift in spending back in the other direction. But I expect all of this to be transitory, and I think the economy is going to get back on track. I don't anticipate that inflation is going to be a problem.
No. I think they'll manage it okay. Still might have some issues. A lot of that has to do with the spending. If you say we're staying kind of where we're at, I think you could say, okay, it's all right. I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. And we're getting towards full employment. We're heading there. Some states, our state right here in Arizona where I'm at, we're actually higher than we were pre-pandemic. And there's jobs out there. If we kind of stay where we're at and not overspend any more than we already have, which is to the tunes of trillions of dollars on both sides of the aisle, you guys are absolutely guilty. You just like spending on the things that you like to spend things on. But if we have to go and
throw another $6.8 trillion or not, then you could still run into some issues. And as far as employment goes, it's crazy out there. I went to a restaurant last week. My buddy and I, who works here, one of the other producers for my other show, we went and grabbed a bite to eat, and they were swamped. And it took a long time for us to get our, we saw the waiter 3 times. Came, took our order for drinks, took our order for food at the same time, came back, delivered the food, and then dropped the thing off. Normally, they're there. They're like, and we're talking to the manager. She's like, we can't find people who want to work. We just can't. It's, some of it is the fact that there are still people out there who feel like they're doing other things. They're taking advantage of this opportunity with the money the way it is, with the feds and the state, to go out and to say, you know what, I'm going to try to do something else because I don't want to live in a position again where I'm beholden to what a politician may say. But for a lot of other people, it's, why would you want to go do anything other than just chill?
Martin Robles and Bruno Elias opened their new fried chicken shop, Chicken Heads, a few months ago. But working 12 to 15-hour days, they need staff. But like many restaurants around the country, they say they cannot find people willing to work for minimum wage, $14 an hour in San Diego. Now Robles is making an offer.
Come and work for us. You guys give us some time. We will definitely give you a $200 bonus incentive.
A $200 bonus to any employee who sticks around for 2 months.
Yeah. McDonald's in some places offering $50 just for the interview. You can't find people who want some of these jobs. No, people don't want it. They're doing other things, or the money's cheap. Sitting at home. I mean, if you're making, remember when this first started, the pandemic, where they were paying like $600 federally, and then you were getting your state. So some people were making far more money than they were working. So there was no incentive whatsoever to go back. And for a lot of people, little side hustle here, or it's a break even, but I don't have to really sweat it. And I know states are starting to implement certain things. Things like, you better be looking for a job or else we're going to cut you off, which is what you should be doing. I don't get how, some people could just sit around and do, even if I've talked about this, if I won the lottery today, so let's say I win, $50 million. You going to quit your job? No, I like working. I love what I do. And even if I didn't, do this anymore, I'd find other things to do. I couldn't just sit there all day. And the other side is you're there by yourself, right? You may have your wife or your husband or your kids, but your buddies, they got to work still. Hey, dude, you want to go play golf? Can't. Hey, do you want to go? I can't. Oh, that sucks. Unless you're going to go to them and their wives, right, and really go all right, here's the deal. I'm going to give you guys $200,000. For what? I want him to quit his job so he can hang out with me all day because I got nothing else going on. That may be the best thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. There's your Twitter. We've got a poll question up. Trump, of course, banned still from Facebook. What's your thoughts about that? Take the poll at Chad Benson Show. Should he be banned? Shouldn't he be banned? Right now, 34% say, 34.9%. Yes. Yes. I agree with the Facebook ban. 65.1% say, no, I do not. You can tweet at us at Well. 323-538-2423 is the text line. So if you call that line, don't. Because then we'll have to make fun of you. And you don't want that. You don't want that. You know what you do want? Rough Greens. We talk about it. Make any pet food better. And because it makes the pet food better, it makes the pet better. It's not dog food. I give it to my dog Doodle. It is a supplement. I also give it to the puppies. What it has done for Doodle in 16 months is change the aspect of his life that was suffering the most. He was in so much pain with his hips. Now his joints are better. No arthritis. It's just incredible. And his coat is shinier than it's ever been. Right now, they want you to try it before you buy it. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. It's got all of this amazing stuff in it. You sprinkle it right on top. It's Canine Vitasmart from Rough Greens. You go to roughgreens.com/Chad. You pay the shipping. They we'll send you a bag for free. RUFFgreens.com/chat or call 833-MyDog77, 833-MyDog77. Get your free bag of Rough Greens. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Trump still banned from Facebook. Facebook messages me, says, you need to get off Facebook. Go to Parler. Because if they can ban Trump, they can ban anybody. Well, they shouldn't be banning Trump. I think we all understand that. And secondly, and I think this is very important, Facebook wasn't really his jam. His jam was Twitter at the end of the day. Like, that was his thing. Twitter was his thing. He liked Twitter best because he could reach the people immediately. He liked talking. Facebook is where the glossy stuff is, right? It's where you go, and it's not real and raw that was Trump. It's not off the cuff. It's not what he thought. It's what was put together and splashed out there. And usually the stuff that you saw that even stirred emotions that were immediate were on Twitter first, and they linked them up. That's the thing that hurts the most. Now the question is, I think he's got something. I think he's got a blog? I don't know what it is. But I'm not going to go over there. So it's just, at this point, I think we're all past it, like most people are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Producer Phil, remind everybody, please, what will happen when you go into nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. Shark!
Sharks can mistake people for food. Just last week, a surfer was bitten by a shark in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
He just jumped out of the water and grabbed my foot and started thrashing around with my foot and shaking me like a rag doll. And he wasn't just a bite and release. He wanted my foot. He was pulling me off my board.
Adrian Wixo managed to get away, but needed 4 hours of surgery. As for Anella and her mom, they're thankful she escaped unscathed.
That's right. Another shark attack. This one was recorded on video. They're everywhere. Yesterday, front page, I think it was like Yahoo and Drudge, is this picture of this giant white shark just chilling. Probably 15, maybe 20 yards from a person sitting on their surfboard. Just off the coast. When you go into nature, we remind you guys this because we care about you. Right? We care about you. When you go into nature, there is a chance that nature will mess you up. It's not always going to happen, but there's always a chance that nature can mess you up. And you're probably a lot closer to that nature that could do it than you realize. And then sometimes you win. Case in point, how about the woman who was found after being lost in Utah, had a tent, survived. It's crazy.
As they're looking at this, the zipper of the tent unzipped, and this woman who we had identified the previous year in November and December last year sticks her head out.
Yeah, and there she was. Survived it.
For most of us to think of somebody spending the winter in an area like this, camping, literally camping in a tent with a sleeping bag all winter long, is beyond what almost anybody would consider.
Yeah. Now, were you camping? Were you lost? Well, you just kind of disappeared. So people would just put one and one together and go, ooh, you're missing for 5 months. No, I was just hanging out in the tent, having fun. Okay, interesting. 47-year-old woman was reported missing, found alive. Just kind of lived off of grass, moss, water. It's kind of crazy, I guess, if that's what you want to do.
It's a weird thing. It is, man. I'm telling you. It's a weird thing that some people decide to go do stuff like that. All those months out there living off grass. Although I could probably lose a few lbs. I'm just saying. You guys have a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.